Now, it's no secret that Assassin's Creed games are some of the largest titles on the market right now. You just need to look at the recent releases of Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla to get what I'm talking about. I mean, Valhalla alone will take up over 144 gigs of your console's storage capacity. But here's the thing, all of these titles are going to look tiny compared to Ubisoft's latest project, which is going to make use of a new piece of technology called Scalar. In this video, we'll break down everything that you need to know about Scalar and Ubisoft's plans. And trust me, these innovations revealed in this video will simply blow your mind. Before we get into this video, let's just take a moment to talk about today's sponsor, Instant Gaming. Now, Instant Gaming isn't like every other business out there, because they want you to save money rather than spend it. Instant Gaming basically offers the flagship games that you want for a fraction of the price. It's literally a dream come true from gamers like you and me. They also offer pretty cheap top-up cards, which is an added bonus. So, if you want to get your hands on flagship games for half the price, or even less, make sure to head to the link in the bio of this video. And hey, there's no need to thank me. So, what on earth is Scalar? Well, to put in Ubisoft's own words, Scalar is a new foundational technology leveraging the possibilities of cloud computing to enable unprecedented freedom and scale for games of tomorrow. Now, this sounds pretty confusing, but all it means is that any game using Ubisoft Scalar is going to be able to use nearly limitless computing power, allowing you to run games with maps bigger than anything we've ever seen before. Think about how much more storage you could get with cloud plans compared to your standard phone storage. The principle is pretty much the same, except with video games. And what's more is that Ubisoft has stated that Scalar will also allow developers to update a game or service without interrupting play sessions. So this would mean no more down for maintenance messages, missed playtime, and player frustrations. Ubisoft's ultimate goal with Scalar is to remove technical constraints for game developers, enabling them to focus on creativity and design for never before seen player experiences. So clearly, the company is dreaming big here, and if Ubisoft can actually deliver here, the nature of Ubisoft titles like Assassin's Creed could change for good. It's also worth mentioning here that Ubisoft isn't planning on replacing current generation gaming engines. Scalar is more meant to be an alternative for games that require faster production or real-time updates to make overall playing experiences more enjoyable. Tech like this wouldn't just make sense for some games, and it's good to see Ubisoft recognizing Scalar's limitation from the outset. Probably one of the biggest questions is, how does something like this even work? So I'll try not to bore you with the intricacies of the Scalar system too much here, but essentially Scalar takes ordinary game components and systems, anything from the animations to the audio of a game, and converts them into microservices on the cloud. This in turn creates closed single processor systems which can be distributed across a countless number of devices. Scalar isn't really a cloud service like your phone photo storage that I mentioned a second ago. It's more like a design tool that gaming developers across the globe can access without the need for any hardware. Scalar also works in real time and is always switched on. This means that whenever a game developer tweaks something or makes an update to the game you're playing, you won't have to quit the game to receive the update. The update will just kind of happen. So with Scalar technology, we're going to have a lot of exploring to do with new maps that are bigger than anything that we've ever seen before. But here's the thing. Because these maps will be so huge, you probably won't have the time or energy to make the most out of them. Well, that would be the case if not for the sponsor of today's video, Rogue Energy. Rogue Energy is literally a cheat code for hyper-focus and lasting energy for gaming marathons, and honestly makes you feel like you can take on anything in the game you're playing has to offer. Right now, you can grab some free samples to test it out yourself, and if you plan on making a bigger purchase, make sure to use the code GTG at checkout for 10% off your entire cart. You can thank me later. A question that's probably on your mind is, what does this mean for gaming? Because let's be honest, this is all pretty confusing and kinda hard to get your head around. But Scalar will have some massive consequences for gaming, both good and bad, that are definitely worth checking out. So the first awesome benefit of Scalar is that we will no longer need to use so much storage space to run huge games. Right now, unless you want to spend hundreds of dollars on external storage, you can only have a few flagship titles downloaded on your console at any one time. I mean, like we pointed out earlier, just look at Valhalla. This one game takes up over 144 gigabytes of storage alone. That seriously limits the number of titles you can play and the overall usability of your console. But with Scalar, the size of games will drop drastically because you'll only need to download the main essentials onto your hardware. The rest of the assets, like the map, would just be handled by Scalar, massively reducing the storage space even a huge title would need. This also means that developers are no longer going to be restricted in terms of map size. Right now, unless you're developing something like No Man's Sky, gaming developers can only go so far with map sizes. All of these limitations will be removed with Scalar, and we could get games that make Valhalla look small. Crazy statement, right? Another benefit of the Scalar system is that we will no longer have to wait for updates and maintenance periods. All of this will just happen in real time while people are still playing. The technical director at Ubisoft Scalar, Christian Holmkreis, put all the benefits of Scalar perfectly, saying, developers can create very rich worlds, which can develop and evolve and change as the players are actually playing them. So it should bring a much closer connection between players and the creators of those games. However, there is also a flip side to this. If a gaming developer launches an update in real time, but they mess up, then every player is going to experience that glitch at the same time. So if something really bad happens, there's not going to be any shying away from it. Oh, I forgot to mention, no solution was offered to this concern when Ubisoft announced Scalar. Ultimately though, the benefits of Scalar far outweigh the negatives. For both developers and gamers, being able to build and experience a game without limitations is a dream come true, and this new technology could genuinely mark new territory for RPGs and survival games. But what about Assassin's Creed? Well, of course Assassin's Creed is going to get a piece of this new technology as soon as it's able to. And there's already been a leak detailing on how Ubisoft is planning to use Scalar with the franchise. Ubisoft Annecy, which is known for developing the multiplayer section of Ubisoft's games, including AC and Splinter Cell, and co-developing The Division 2 alongside Massive Entertainment, has recently pitched codename Echoes, which has been described as a multiplayer Assassin's Creed title that makes use of Scalar technology. The only thing that we have to go off right now is that if Echoes does make it to our shelves, it's probably be the first Assassin's Creed title in the franchise to offer a multiplayer experience since Unity. And because of this new Scalar technology, you'll likely be able to explore a potentially endless world with your buddies. Echoes is all a leak right now, so you should definitely take all this information with a handful of salt. I mean, Echoes isn't even a plan right now, it's just a pitch, and Ubisoft may completely decide to ditch it entirely. But with everything that's going on with the announcement of Scalar and the recent roadmap reveal for the AC franchise, it's not a crazy jump to believe that one of Ubisoft's first Scalar titles will be an Assassin's Creed game. So far with the Assassin's Creed franchise, the fan base is split down the middle. Fans of older games prefer smaller titles that are more story-driven and linear, whereas newer fans of the franchise tend to prefer the larger open-world RPG titles. And right now, the company has no solution to this problem, except to alternate between smaller and bigger titles. This can be seen by the fact that Mirage, which is coming out in October, is a smaller but more dense title, and Codename Red, which is set for 2024-2025 release, will likely be an open-world RPG. Well, with Scalar, Ubisoft could potentially fix this problem, because Scalar removes all the hardware limitations from the equation. Ubisoft could theoretically incorporate both styles of a game into one title, and who knows if they'll actually spend the time and money doing this, but it is a potential solution to the problem that they have with the franchise right now. Now, I hope I haven't gotten your hopes up too much in this video. First of all, we don't even know if Assassin's Creed Echoes is even real, and even if it is, we are not going to be seeing it anytime soon. Let me explain. So the next title in the franchise, AC Mirage, is set to release this October. Then we have Assassin's Creed Nexus in November or December of 2023, followed by Jade sometime in the first half of 2024, and Codename Red at the end of 2024 or the start of 2025. Then we have Hex sometime in 2025 or 2026, and finally Codename Invictus in 2027, probably. Oh, and those are just the titles that we know for sure about. There's still others in the works, like co-op titles, PvP titles, and even a Nexus 2. With all this lined up, there's basically no room for Echoes before 2030, so if Echoes does ever actually release, it's probably not going to be for about 10 years. And by that point, the entire landscape of the Assassin's Creed franchise and the wider gaming industry could be completely different. Ultimately, Scalar looks pretty revolutionary in the gaming space, and there's a good chance that an Assassin's Creed of some description will be one of the first games to make use of the technology. Right now, Echoes is a little more than a pitch, so don't get your hopes up for it. But you never know, down the line, we might just see this title hit the shelves. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to check out our recent video on Assassin's Creed titles that are currently in the works. It'll put everything I just talked about into context.